Too fat for a wedding, the groom shouted on live television, until a stranger with a gun whispered, "She's perfect." Anna stood frozen at the altar, her hands trembling so violently that the bouquet of white peonies shook, shedding petals like tears onto the marble floor. The silence that followed was not the holy silence of a wedding, it was the suffocating vacuum of 300 people holding their breath, waiting for the punchline. But there was no punchline. There was only the hum of the massive screens set up on either side of the altar, displaying the live stream chat that scrolled with dizzying speed. OMG, is he serious? Look at her dress, it's bursting at the seams. #run Derek run. The red on-air light of the main camera stared at Anna like an unblinking, judgmental eye. She looked at Derek, the men she had loved for 3 years, the men who had held her hand through diet plans and gym sessions, swearing that he loved her curves while simultaneously suggesting she skip dessert. Today, in his bespoke Italian tuxedo, he looked like a prince. But his face was twisted into a sneer that she did not recognize. "Derek," she whispered, the words scraping against her dry throat. "What are you doing? The cameras, turn them off. Turn them off." Derek laughed, a sharp, barking sound. He turned to the lens, flashing his signature influencer smile, bright, white, and completely devoid of warmth. "Why would I turn them off, babe? My followers deserve the truth. We built this brand on honesty, did not we? #fit couple. #transformation journey." He stepped closer to her, not to comfort her, but to frame them better in the shot. "I see a not do it, Anna. I see a not look at these photos in 10 years and see this." He gestured vaguely at her body. At the custom-made lace gown that had cost her parents their savings. At the soft curve of her arms, the fullness of her hips that the seamstress had tried so hard to flatter. Anna felt the blood drain from her face. The heat in the room seemed to skyrocket, making the air thick and unbreathable. "We practiced the vows last night," she pleaded, her voice barely audible over the murmuring crowd. "You said I looked beautiful. I lied." Derek shouted, playing to the back row. "I tried to be the good guy. I tried to motivate you. I told you to lose 20 pounds before the wedding. 20. And what did you do? You gained 5. He looked at the priest, then at the audience. "How can I respect a woman who does not respect herself enough to put down the fork for the most important day of her life?" A ripple of nervous laughter moved through the pews. It started with Derek's frat brothers in the front row, then spread to his distant cousins. It was a sound that tore through Anna's skin like shrapnel. She looked toward her parents. Her mother was weeping, face buried in a handkerchief, while her father looked down at his shoes, his face purple with shame, not for Derek's behavior, Anna realized with a sickening jolt, but for her. He was ashamed of her. "Please," Anna said, a single tear escaping, cutting a hot track through her professional makeup. "Let's just go to the back. Let's talk about this in private. Private does not pay the bills, sweetheart." Derek checked his watch, then glanced at a monitor hidden behind a flower arrangement. "We have 2 million concurrent viewers. Do you know what that means for my engagement metrics?" He turned back to her, his eyes cold and dead. "This is not a wedding anymore, Anna. It's an intervention. An intervention for your gluttony." The choice hung before her, suspended in the agonizing spotlight. She could run. She could turn around, gather her heavy skirts, and sprint down the aisle, becoming the viral runaway bride, a meme for the next decade. Or she could stay. She could stand her ground and demand the dignity she deserved. Her legs felt like lead. The corset of her dress, which had felt like a supportive embrace just an hour ago, now felt like a cage of whalebone and silk. "I am leaving," Anna stated, trying to summon a shred of pride. She took a step back. Derek grabbed her wrist. His grip was hard, painful. "No, you do not. You do not get to walk away and play the victim. We're going to finish this stream. You're going to apologize to my fans for deceiving them with your photoshopped pictures." "Let go of me," Anna gasped, tugging at her arm. "Apologize?" Derek roared, thrusting the microphone into her face. The feedback whined, a high-pitched screech that made guests cover their ears. "Tell them you're sorry for being too lazy to be a trophy wife." Anna looked at the camera. She saw her own reflection in the lens, wide, terrified eyes, a face round and soft, a body that took up space. For a moment, she believed him. The shame was a heavy blanket, suffocating her logic. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was the monster here, the fraud who had trapped a golden boy. But then she looked at Derek's hand on her wrist. His knuckles were white. He was hurting her. This was not about weight. This was about power. And in that second, just as she opened her mouth to scream, the heavy oak doors at the back of the cathedral did not just open, they slammed against the stone walls with the sound of a thunderclap. The boom of the doors echoed, causing the chandeliers to tremble. The murmur of the crowd died instantly. Even Derek froze, his mouth half open, the microphone drooping in his hand. Anna turned, grateful for any distraction from the lens that was eating her soul. Silhouetted against the bright afternoon sun streaming in from the vestibule was a figure. A man. He was tall, imposingly so, and his shoulders filled the doorway. As he stepped into the nave, the light adjusted, revealing a suit of charcoal gray that absorbed the light rather than reflecting it. He moved not with the hurried pace of a late guest, but with the predatory grace of a panther stalking through high grass. Derek recovered first. "Hey! We have a closed set here. Security." But the security guards, two beefy men hired to keep paparazzi out, were backing away. They looked pale, pressing themselves against the stone pillars as if trying to become invisible. The stranger continued walking down the center aisle. His footsteps on the marble were heavy, rhythmic, and terrifyingly calm. Click. 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 Anna could not look away. He was beautiful in a way that was almost painful to behold. High cheekbones, a jawline sharp enough to cut glass, and hair the color of midnight. But it was his eyes that pinned her in place. They were dark, endless, and burned with a cold, terrifying intelligence. A scar ran through his left eyebrow, a small imperfection that only highlighted the perfection of the rest of him. He ignored the 300 guests. He ignored the cameras. His gaze was locked entirely on Anna. "Who do you think you are?" Derek shouted, his bravado returning as the camera operator zoomed in on the newcomer. "You ruining the shot. Get him out of here." The stranger did not speak. He did not even blink. He reached the altar steps, and the temperature in the vast room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The air tasted metallic, charged with ozone and violence. Derek, sensing his viral moment was being hijacked, made a fatal error. He stepped down from the altar to confront the men. "Listen to me, buddy. I do not know who invited you, but unless you read the sponsor from Keto Life, get lost. This is my day. My stream." He reached out to shove the man's chest. The movement was a blur. 1 second Derek was reaching out, the next, a sickening crack echoed through the church. Derek screamed, clutching a finger that was now bent at an impossible angle. "Do not touch me," the stranger said. His voice was a low, smooth baritone that vibrated in Anna's chest. It was not loud, yet it carried to the back of the hall with perfect clarity. Panic erupted. Guests started to stand, chairs scraping, murmurs turning into shouts. "Quiet," the stranger commanded. He did not shout. He simply gave an order. And to Anna's shock, 300 people obeyed. There was authority woven into his DNA, a command so absolute that disobedience felt impossible. He walked past the whimpering Derek and ascended the steps to where Anna stood. Up close, he smelled of expensive whiskey, leather, and gunpowder. He was terrifying. He was a storm contained in human skin. And yet, when he looked at her, the cruelty she had seen in Derek's eyes was absent. Instead, there was an intensity she could not name. "Anna," he said. It was not a question. It was a claim. "Who are you?" she breathed, clutching her ruined bouquet. "The man who is going to end this," he replied. Derek scrambled up from the floor, his face red with pain and humiliation. "You broke my finger. I am suing you. I am calling the police. Do you know who I am? I have 3 million followers." The stranger turned slowly. He reached into his jacket. The breath hitched in Anna's throat. Was he reaching for a wallet? A phone? He pulled out a gun. A matte black pistol that looked heavy and lethal. Screams erupted from the pews. People dove under the wooden benches. The priest crossed himself and practically vaulted over the communion table to hide. I said quiet, the stranger repeated. He raised the gun, not pointing it at the crowd, but leveling it directly at the center of Derek's forehead. Derek froze. His hands went up, shaking so hard his watch rattled. Whoa, whoa. Take it easy. Take the money. My wallet is in the vestry. I do not want your money, Derek, the stranger said, his voice bored. I already have it. What? Derek stammered, sweat beading on his forehead, ruining his makeup. Your debts, the stranger clarified. The gambling in Vegas. The failed crypto investments. The loans you took out to rent this cathedral, to rent that tuxedo, to pay for the bots that inflate your follower count. Anna gasped. Bots. Derek's eyes darted nervously to Anna, then back to the gun. Shut up. You do not know what you're talking about. I own your debt, Derek, the stranger continued, stepping closer until the barrel of the gun was an inch from Derek's skin. Which means I own you. And I am very displeased with how you are treating my property. Property. Anna felt a flash of indignation cut through her fear. I am not property. The stranger looked at her then. For the first time, his expression softened, just a fraction. No, he agreed. You are not. But he is. He gestured to Derek with the gun. He is a hollow thing. A shell. He sold his soul for likes and sold his future to me. Why are you here? Anna asked, her voice trembling. If you want money, we do not have any. My parents spent everything on this wedding. I did not come for the money, Anna, the stranger said. He holstered the gun in one fluid motion, the threat remaining in the air even without the weapon visible. He turned his back on Derek, dismissing him as a threat, and faced the live stream camera. He stared directly into the lens. Cut the feed, he ordered the cameraman. The cameraman, a skinny teenager shaking in his sneakers, shook his head. I see a not. Derek has the passcode. It's locked to stream until the end of the ceremony. Good, the stranger said. Then let the world see this. He turned back to Anna. He reached out a hand. His fingers were long, elegant, and steady. He touched her chin, tilting her face up. His thumb brushed away a tear that was clinging to her jawline. The touch was electric, a shockwave that traveled down her spine and made her knees weak, not from fear, but from something darker, something primal. He called you fat, the stranger murmured, his voice intimate, as if they were the only two people in the cathedral. He called you ugly. He was not wrong, Anna whispered, the shame of the last hour crashing back down on her. Look at me. I am looking at you, the stranger said. I have been looking at you for 6 months. The confession hung in the air, heavy and disturbing. 6 months. What? Anna pulled back, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. You've been stalking me. Watching, he corrected. Protecting. That's sick, Derek spat from behind him, clutching his broken finger. See, Anna. Even the freaks want you. You attract them. The stranger did not turn around. He simply extended his arm backward and backhanded Derek across the face without looking. The sound was sickeningly wet. Derek crumpled to the floor, unconscious or playing dead. I am Viktor Volkov, the man said, his eyes never leaving Anna's face. A collective gasp went through the room. Even Anna knew that name. Everyone in the city knew that name. Viktor Volkov was not just a businessman, he was the shadow that lay over the city's skyline. Construction, shipping, nightclubs, rumor had it nothing moved in this town without Volkov taking a cut. He was a monster in a tailored suit, a man police were too afraid to investigate. Him, Anna whispered. Horror warred with fascination. This man was a criminal. A killer. And he was standing in a church, touching her face with a hand that had likely ended lives. I saw you at the bakery on 4th Street, Victor said, his voice taking on a hypnotic cadence. I saw how you gave your umbrella to the homeless men in the rain while you got soaked. I watched you work 3 jobs to pay for this leech's lifestyle. He gestured to Derek's prone body. I watched you look in the mirror and cry because you thought you were not enough. He stepped closer, invading her personal space, overwhelming her senses. He sees pounds of flesh, Anna. He sees pixels on a screen. He sees something to be fixed. Victor leaned down, his lips brushing the shell of her ear. I see a masterpiece. I see soft curves that were made to be held. I see a fire in your eyes that he tried to extinguish. You are not too much, Anna. You are everything. You barely know me, Anna stammered, trying to hold on to reality. This is insane. You have a gun. You hurt him. He deserved worse, Victor said, pulling back to look her in the eye. And yes, I am dangerous. I am not a good man, Anna. I will never pretend to be. But I am the man who sees you. He held out his hand again. Palm open. An invitation. Come with me. Where? Away from here. Away from these people who laughed at you. Away from parents who stood by and let you be humiliated. Victor cast a withering glance at her parents in the front row. Her father shrank back, her mother looked away. The truth of his words cut deep. No one had intervened. No one had stopped the live stream. They had all watched the spectacle. If I go with you, Anna said, her voice shaking, what happens? Am I your prisoner? You are my queen, Victor replied. My equal. My obsession. But the choice is yours. You can stay here, wake him up, he nodded at Derek, and continue this charade. You can apologize to his camera and spend the rest of your life starving yourself to fit into his frame. Or you can take my hand and burn this life to the ground. It was a trap. Anna knew it. This was a deal with the devil. Viktor Volkov was dangerous, lethal, a creature of the night. Going with him meant leaving the safety of the daylight world. It meant entering a world of guns and shadows. But she looked at Derek, drooling slightly on the marble floor. She looked at the red light of the camera, still broadcasting her misery to millions. She looked at the crowd, their phones raised, recording her indecision. She felt the corset digging into her ribs. She felt the shame that had been her constant companion for years. And then she looked at Victor. In his eyes, she did not see pity. She did not see disgust. She saw hunger. She saw worship. She saw a man who would burn the world down if she asked for a match. He's right, Anna realized. I am destroying myself here. But just as she lifted her hand, Derek groaned. He pushed himself up on one elbow, blood streaming from his nose. Do not do it, Anna. He's a killer. He'll use you. You re nothing to him but a fetish. Victor stiffened. His hand hovered near his jacket again. No, Anna said sharply. She stepped between Victor and Derek. Victor looked at her, surprised. You defend him? No, Anna said. She looked down at Derek. I'm saving you from getting blood on your suit. She reached down, grabbed the hem of her massive, heavy skirt, and ripped. The lace tore with a loud, satisfying sound. She tore off the long train that Derek had insisted upon for the royal aesthetic. She ripped off the veil and let it drift to the floor, covering Derek's face like a shroud. I'm done being a prop, she told the camera. And I'm done being a victim. She turned to Victor. She did not just take his hand, she gripped it. His fingers closed around hers, warm, calloused, and strong. A steel anchor in a storm. Take me away, she said. Victor nodded, a grim smile touching his lips, a smile that promised retribution and pleasure in equal measure. He did not look back at the chaos he had caused. He simply turned and led Anna back down the aisle. The guests parted like the Red Sea. No one laughed now. No one dared to hold up a phone. They looked at Anna with a mixture of fear and awe. She was not the crying, humiliated girl at the altar anymore. She was walking hand in hand with death itself, and her head was held high. They stepped out into the blinding sunlight. The air was fresh, devoid of the stifling scent of lilies and hypocrisy. A sleek, black-armored SUV waited at the curb, its engine idling with a low, powerful rumble. A driver in a suit opened the back door. Victor helped her in, protecting her head with his hand, treating her with a reverence that made her throat tight. He slid in beside her, and the heavy door thudded shut, sealing out the world. The silence inside the car was absolute, soundproofed against the sirens that were beginning to wail in the distance. "Drive," Victor ordered. As the car pulled away, Anna slumped back against the leather seat. The adrenaline began to fade, replaced by a violent shaking. She looked at her hands. They were empty. No ring. No bouquet. Just her, in a torn dress, beside a notorious crime lord. "Breathe," Victor said. He reached into a compartment and pulled out a bottle of water, cracking the seal and handing it to her. I just left my whole life," Anna whispered. "My parents. My job. My apartment." "You left a cage," Victor said. He turned in his seat to face her fully. "That was not a life, Anna. It was a slow death by 1,000 cuts. Every time he told you to change, he killed a part of you." "And what now?" Anna asked, taking a sip of water, her eyes meeting his. "What do you want from me, Victor? You said you re-obsessed." "That sounds dangerous." "It is," he admitted. "I am a possessive man. I do not share what is mine. And from the moment I saw you 6 months ago, I knew you were meant to be mine." He reached out and touched a loose curl of her hair. "I want to show you what you really look like. Not through a camera lens, not through the eyes of a boy who wants a stick figure. I want to take you to Paris, to Milan, to places where beauty is understood. I want to feed you the best food in the world and watch you enjoy it without guilt. I want to buy you dresses that fit you, instead of forcing you to fit them." "And in return?" Anna asked, bracing herself. "What do I have to do?" Victor leaned in, his dark eyes intense. "Just exist. Just be Anna. Be the woman who gave her umbrella to a stranger. Be the woman who tore her dress and walked out with her head high. That is all I ask. Be with me." Anna looked out the tinted window. They were passing the city limits, the skyline shrinking behind them. She saw a billboard with Derek's face on it, advertising a protein shake. It looked ridiculous now. Small. Insignificant. She realized then that for 3 years, she had been shrinking herself to fit into Derek's world. She had been apologizing for taking up space. But sitting next to Viktor Volkov, a man who took up all the space in the room, she felt right. She felt like she matched him. Her body, the body Derek had mocked, was the only thing that had caught the eye of the most powerful men in the city. Victor did not want her to be less, he wanted her to be more. He's going to be ruined, is not he? Anna asked quietly. "Derek." Victor's eyes grew cold for a second. "He will lose everything. His sponsors dropped him 5 minutes ago, my team made sure the nature of his debt was leaked to them. The stream, well, let's just say the internet does not forgive cruelty when it's exposed so starkly. He will be a pariah." "Good," Anna said. The word tasted sweet. It was the first time she had allowed herself to be vindictive. It felt like shedding a heavy skin. She turned back to Victor. The fear was still there, lurking in the corners of her mind. This was a dangerous man. This was a dangerous life. But as he took her hand again, rubbing his thumb over her knuckles, she felt a sense of safety she had never experienced with Derek. "You said I'm perfect," Anna whispered, a challenge in her voice. "Prove it." Victor smiled, and this time, it reached his eyes. It was a wicked, devastating smile. "Every day, Anna. For the rest of your life." He leaned forward and kissed her. It was not a gentle, tentative kiss. It was possessive, demanding, and overwhelming. It tasted of danger and promise. And as Anna closed her eyes, melting into the embrace of the monster who had saved her, she realized something profound. The fairy tale was a lie. The prince was the villain. And the monster was the only one who knew how to treat a queen. "I'm perfect," she thought, the words finally settling in her heart, not as a question, but as a fact. The car sped on into the twilight, carrying them toward a future that was dark, uncertain, and absolutely, undeniably beautiful.